Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Keith.
And this is Gwen.
And we're back with another episode of
15 Minutes with God.
Listen, I know it's been a minute, but we just wanted to thank you guys for continuing to show your support by liking and sharing with everyone. And I hope that even in our absence, that God has been blessing you, and we know we've been praying for you. Absolutely. But listen, we have another episode, and I think this is another good one to get into. We're going to be dealing with unresolved issues.
Yes.
Unresolved issues. So God, why do I have to be the bigger person? Why do I have to be the one to make amends? So I know for me that's usually a big topic because I'm a grudge holder.
Is that right?
Sometimes, you know what I'm saying, I get upset and I can hold on to some things, and it'll take, maybe a couple days before I can get back into the swing of things with my wife, and if you just happen to be somebody on the outskirts, it might even take a little longer. But I know I'm called to do better. So, what do you think about unresolved issues?
Unresolved issues can create a lot of problems. It can create situations in your life that you didn't even know, you don't even know why you have them.
Right.
It can really damage someone. It damages you personally with not being able to move forward.
Right.
It can damage relationships. And sometimes people don't even know that you have an unresolved issue.
Oh man, that's big. So you're sitting around harboring all this anger and this angst and upset about something, and the person that you upset with doesn't even know that you're upset with them. So you're really only damaging yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, what does that look like in a relationship though?
Well, I know that there are times when even you and I, are just people in general, could possibly, say that I have moved on.
Right.
I don't. No need for me to talk about this anymore.
Right.
They're not going to see my side of it, and a lot of times people have unresolved issues just because they don't want to have the conversation.
Right.
And they feel like I'm not going to get them to see my side of it. And resolving issues is not getting someone to see your side of it, right? It's kind of just coming to an agreement of sorts,
Well, I think that sometimes it is. Well, I think it is trying to get someone sometimes to see your point, but not to necessarily win the issue.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think it's always a battle of I was right and you were wrong, but like you say, coming to some midpoint or bridge to where we can come to some agreement to where we move on in our relationship.
Okay.
But I think it's important that in order to even get to that bridge, that you understand to some point where I'm coming from. You know what I mean? So I can't just, you mentioned how sometimes people don't bring up things because they don't want to deal with the problem of it.
Right.
I'm big on understanding that not all conflict is bad.
Right.
Right? So you going into relationships or dealing with friends, family, and other people want to avoid this conflict, but the conflict brings about conversation.
Yes.
Conflict brings about change.
Yeah.
Conflict sometimes is the only way that you're going to even have communication with that person who don't even know you're mad with them in the first place. So that conflict that we're fearful of sometimes is the only bridge to the other side.
Right. So when we don't deal with conflict, a lot of times are issues that are hard for us to talk about. We never come to a resolution.
Right.
Or any type of midpoint where we can mend a relationship. I know that there are so many times I talk to different people and they're like, I don't even know what we were upset about.
Right.
Why are you so upset with this person? Why can't you sit in a room with this person? They say, I just don't like them. We had this situation and they didn't see my side. We got in this big argument and we never talked about it again. And a lot of times you have broken relationships and don't even have to.
Right.
You have broken relationships just because you didn't want to have a conversation.
Right.
And I know that it is difficult to have difficult conversations because I'm a person that do not like conflict. Even in our relationship, I used to like, hey, you got to give me a minute to process my frustration about this conversation. And what would happen is I would just move on from it.
Right.
And I used to say, I'm over it now. It's no longer affecting me anymore. Then, we shouldn't even have to talk about it. But that's not Keith. That's not his. He's like, no, we have to talk about this. And I'm like, why do we have to talk about this? I just told you I'm over it.
Mm-mm.
I just told you that we, I forgive you. So, and, even if I say I forgive you for this situation, I'll ask for forgiveness without even having a conversation. And he's like, what are you forgiving me for? Or what are you asking for forgiveness to just say about the situation? Hopefully we can move forward now.
Because I needed resolution. I needed us to get, to some endpoint of you understand where I'm coming. Because in my mind, I don't have a problem with conflict. So when we're having an issue, in my mind, we need to resolve it right then. We need to talk it through right then. And we need to get to some endpoint of you understand where I'm coming from. I understand where you're coming from. How are we going to fix it? Of course, that didn't happen. We over years and trials and tribulation and joy and pain, all of that stuff, we learn middle ground on that. But I still firmly believe that you can't skip over the pain that someone's going through, whether you caused it or not.
Yes.
You can't skip over that pain and just expect it to be sunshine and rainbows. There's got to be some form of resolution brought forth to kind of heal that relationship and kind of cross that bridge that we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Right. And so, why do I have to be the bigger person? Well, why not?
Someone has to.
Someone has to, right? If you're the one, we talk about forgiveness, and we've talked about how forgiveness is not always for the other person. Most of the time it's for you, so you can heal and you can process what's going through. But when we're talking about unresolved issues, if you're the one that you feel wronged against, and you're holding in all this angst and all this hate and all this malice, the only way to fix it is to go let somebody know that it's there. Right?
So what if they don't want to talk about it? What if the person that you have an issue with don't want to rehash that emotion anymore? Which a lot of times people are like that and I say that because that used to be me in our relationship, is not wanting to rehash. And we're in a good place.
Right.
Or I'm in a good place, and I don't want to go back to that place of me thinking about what I felt when I felt like I was wronged. I felt like I needed forgiveness. I felt like you did something that caused me to feel a certain type of way. And so I don't want to rehash those emotions anymore. I have moved on. And what I come to find out, in growth, is that just because I'm over it does not fix the problem.
Right.
Someone else has to go through their process as well, and I can't discredit their emotion about it or discredit their feelings about it because I feel like I can move on from it.
Right. Just to give some scriptural content, we'll go to Matthew 18. I'll start off at verse 17. If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you've gained a brother. So if you feel like someone sinned against you, it's biblical. Go and tell him his fault between you and him. You don't have to front him out in front of the family. You don't have to front your wife out in front of friends and family. You go and have a peaceful conversation. And if she doesn't listen, or if he doesn't listen, if for some reason, like Gwen said, they don't want to rehash it, you can, find it in your heart to forgive. If it's a husband and a wife, you can ask for counseling.
Yeah.
The other myriad of different things that you can do other than hold it inside and let it fester. And then it not only harms you, it harms other relationships. like they say, hurt people.
Yeah.
Because if you don't learn how to deal with these things, you'll learn how to lash out at other people other than seek forgiveness or ask for forgiveness or ask for healing.
I agree. I think that we learned I would say I learned in our relationship, and it's always different relationships that you learn these things, or you have these situations like this that come up. When I would say, I'm gonna move forward, not gonna worry about it, I'm not gonna even talk about it. I know that maybe he didn't mean to offend me the way he did, and I saw it, and I just say, I'm just gonna move on from him. I'm gonna sweep it under the rug. I'm not gonna even talk about it. What tends to happen is something else happened, opposite of the situation that we didn't talk about, and everything starts to come up, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like a boiling point that you get to, and then when you have a conversation, and Keith, why didn't you tell me when that happened? I mean, that was 6 months ago that we talked about that. Now you're bringing it up 6 months later. I thought it was over because we moved on from it, and now you're bringing this up and this other issue, and now we have not just one issue that we're dealing with, but maybe 4 or 5 issues that I never talked about. But now I'm at this boiling point. I'm, at 10, and I'm like, but when you did this, it's the same thing you're doing now. It's the same, because we never discussed it.
Right. So you get hit with this whirlwind of why you didn't.
Yeah.
and I didn't know anything about all that, because in my mind, I always said, well, if you got something to say it now. Let's deal with it up front.
Yeah.
Or, it's too late.
Yeah.
But, what did happen after, a lot of those issues that we're talking about is we learned to be sensitive to one another. I learned to not expect an upfront conversation. I learned to know kind of when, okay, well, I might have hurt her feelings on that one. So let me go back and catch that before, it turns into something else. So as you get used to opening up and confronting, not in a violent way. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Confrontation is just bringing something, issue to the forefront.
Yeah.
Right? As you get used to doing those things, you get to, especially husband and wife, you learn each other's language. You learn each other's emotive cues. You learn her body language, like, okay, I went a little too far with that. Let me catch that. And she does the same with me. But even outside of a husband and wife relationship, we should be in the habit of, for one, not intentionally hurting anybody.
Yes.
Right? But we're human. We get caught up in passion or hot topics. But we are also called to be peacemakers. Right? We're also called to have the mind of Christ.
Yeah.
So ask for forgiveness, seek forgiveness, offer forgiveness. That's, should be your first thought process, right? So not, once again, confrontation is not always bad. Hey, I know I might have raised my voice a little too much. I saw how it kind of affected you. I want to say I'm sorry. Is there anything I can do to mend this fence?
Yeah.
So, rather than letting it lie.
Yeah. And just to kind of, bring it all in is we are to try and find common ground with our brothers and sisters. So that is another area of resolving issues. And maybe it's not as soon as you have a situation or you have a conflict that you resolve it right at that moment.
Right.
Maybe you need a cool off period, but
Absolutely.
still go back and resolve it. And a lot of times people may come to you and say, I didn't mean it that way. Or, I understand that. People have said that to me before. Or no one has ever brought that to my attention. Right. And all of those things. So try and find common ground with someone so you can resolve some issues. And I think that's the, meat of this is just trying to find common ground, trying to resolve things that you can resolve. Because there's some things you just can't.
That's
resolve,
right.
But that doesn't mean that you don't try.
That's right. And I think she tied it up together well. Don't be afraid to be the bigger person.
Yeah.
I think it's key what she just said. It doesn't always have to be right then and there. You as you start doing this, you'll be sensitive when the good moment is, and when it's good to talk and when it's not.
Yeah.
And you can't always force someone into having that conversation with you. So just be sensitive as you grow and be led by the Spirit, and resolve your conflicts.
Yes.
All right, so man,
15 minutes in a flash.
I don't want to keep going because I don't want no conflicts with my producer and with my wife. So we're going to hold the next conversation for our next 15 minutes.
Yes.
Remember, as always, if you can click, like, and share this with someone, we would be ever so grateful.
Absolutely.
This is Keith.
And this is Gwen.
And this has been 15 Minutes with God.
Bye.